Hey y'all, welcome to a Mindless Morning Show special interview. Sit back and relax with your hosts, Nick and Josh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mindless Morning Show. We are here with Wendy Stuart Kaplan, who is the host of a podcast, If These Walls Could Talk. She has her own pandemic cooking show. She has done acting. She's done modeling. She's done a lot of awesome stuff. So we are going to talk to her now. Wendy, how are you?
I am excellent. For me, it's the Mindless Evening Show.
Yeah.
Right, isn't it? Cheers. We'll drink to that. And whoever is listening, please raise a glass for this Mindless evening that we're all having. Well, thank you guys for such a great intro. Yeah, I'm like, I've done it all and I'm still doing it all. And this year, this pandemic for me has just been unbelievable. It was like I burst open in a whole lot of areas that I never would have delved into before. Because you know what? That's what the pandemic pushed you to do. You either use it or lose it. And I'm sure you know a lot of people lost it this year, you know. I'm certainly not the same. In New York City, where I live, we were one of the first places to get hit. So none of us could really wrap our heads around what was happening initially. Honest to God, up until they shut New York down, I was riding on the subway, packed, wall-to-wall people, clueless, because we weren't told anything. March 6th, we started hearing about it, right? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden they were talking about we're going to shut New York down, but you couldn't really understand what that meant. So you guys will connect to this. Every single night before they were shutting it down, I went out. I was in every club. You're right. You would do the same thing. A lot of my friends are performers, you know, at cabarets, stand-up, musicians, and you want to support your friends. And when they tell you that the very thing that you love doing is going to stop, it makes you want to do it more.
Yes.
So right up until they shut New York down, I was out. And then March 12th is when they shut it down. And then it dawned on me that every single way I had of earning a living or being had come to a crashing halt. Modeling, acting, theater, stand-up comedy, emceeing, anything that I could think of that I could do was no longer. And, you know, I never had a chance in my lifetime. I never had a survival job. I've only ever been in the entertainment industry. So all of a sudden it was like, boom, you're in a parallel universe. And what are you going to do? It was so weird. So that was March 12th. And March 13th is when I was standing in my kitchen, and my husband is the videographer on our documentaries. And he's like, what do you think we should do? We should do something. We're creative people. And I'm like, I know, we'll have a show. We'll have a cooking show. And he said, but you don't cook. I said, exactly.
That's what makes it fun.
Thank you. You totally get it, right? So, and I said, I'll call it Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. And true story, I had all this food delivered from Fresh Direct. You know those meals that come in a giant box that, you know, they tell you how to make it? Yeah. Because I thought, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, but this is the perfect opportunity we have good camera person, and I love being in front of the camera. So, and this will be easy, right? It came from Fresh Direct. It had the instructions. So the first thing that I made was called spatchcock chicken. I had no idea what this was. This is like, you know, and this is actually the name of this kind of chicken. It's a chicken when they kind of split it in half. It comes not cooked, but it's kind of split in half, and it's a little spread eagle, and its legs are going out like in a V. And it came with little side things to cook with it. It had potatoes and vegetables and stuff. And then it had these very hard potatoes. And I'm on camera, I'm trying to make this dish, and I'm following the directions. And the hard potatoes wouldn't cook at all. And I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Well, lo and behold, you know, I was holding them up to the camera, and somebody puts in the comments, Wendy, those are chestnuts.
Oh my goodness.
Couldn't cook them. If you try.
That's
You guys
gold.
want to know something? I realized like I'm like so not domestic. I opened up my refrigerator, my vegetable bin, and things like chestnuts, they last forever. They're still in there from a year ago. I should have a celebration with the chestnuts a year after the pandemic. So that was my very first episode. And my episodes, I break them up short. They're like 5-minute pieces because quite frankly, everybody and their mother's got a cooking show out there. And I said to myself, what would be fun and easy pardon the pun, for people to digest? Well, these segments. So the first segment was broken into 5-minute pieces, and it's about 20 minutes if you put it all together. And in that one, I was just like a normal person. And then it occurred to me, Wendy, in real life, you're in clubs all the time. You dress up in costumes. You do all kinds of crazy things as a performer. Why are you looking like the girl next door? That's so not your MO. So that's when I really exploded. I've got closets full of costumes, wigs. I can be any character I want.
That's perfect.
Right. It was great. And there I am in my own kitchen. There's nobody stopping me. There's no casting director saying, okay, can you tone it down a little bit?
Yeah.
Right. You guys get it, right? I didn't have to tone it down. For the first time in my life, I could have on a pink wig, false eyelashes out to here, and a crazy outfit. And so that was what I did. And we launched episode 103 yesterday.
Wow.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
You're killing it.
103 episodes. And I've come up with great characters in the real deep nitty gritty of this pandemic when I was really losing it. I came up with a character called Pandemic Pam. She's a flight attendant.
Yeah, I seen your channel. And I seen all the thumbnails. I saw some as a flight attendant.
Right, but it's like something from the party store, the Halloween store.
Yeah.
And it's got a Pan Am pin on it. Believe me, there are people nowadays that don't even know what Pan Am was, okay?
It kind of reminded me of Britney Spears's outfit for that one music video. And so I thought that's what you were going for at first. And then I realized the rest of your videos, you have a totally different outfit every time.
That's exactly right. And it's funny you should reference the Britney Spears thing because I wasn't trying to do that. But when it came out, when I was done shooting it, that's what it reminded me of too. But no, it was totally organic. And the beauty of it was, on that episode, I made airline food. When you're like a coach and they put it in plastic dishes with aluminum over it. I think I made like a chicken dish and mac and cheese. And then the following episode, Pandemic Pam flew her whole audience to India. So I came out, I had traditional Indian dress. And
that's awesome.
Oh my God, it was so much fun. And I had my issues of Condé Nast Traveler there because let's face it, nobody's going anywhere anymore.
Right.
Right. I tried to take the worst things of the pandemic and make them funny. And initially when I did this show, there were people that didn't get it at all. I have a friend that's a very well-known performer who shall remain unnamed, who is a gourmet cook. And he wrote to me and he said, Wendy, nobody is going to watch a cooking show, Pandemic Cooking with Wendy. And I said, it's a joke. All right. Surely
people will
understand. Listen, this is a storm like none of us have ever dealt with before. You have to make it funny. And the fact that in New York City, so many people with so many, not where you are, because I know I go on shows and I tell people that I have a circle of 22 friends and 18 of us had COVID. And that's not unusual. And we hadn't even seen each other. It was just everywhere in New York. And thank God the people I know all recovered. But I got sick a week after I started filming that show with the fever. And this is the best part. You'll understand the sick humor. I lost my smell and taste.
Before it was even a thing.
Right. For months. I couldn't even smell or taste anything I was making. So other than kind of trying to stick to the recipes, I don't know what that stuff tasted like. And I didn't tell anybody what was going on with me till probably the end of May when I told my viewers, oh, by the way, I had COVID. And by the way, I still can't smell or taste a thing. And believe it or not, you guys, that lasted until October. So, thank thank God it came back.
I would have been freaking out.
Right. Well, you freak out because there's a group I joined, an international group of COVID responders that have lost their smell and taste. They're from all over the world. And it's run by researchers. And I would be online with people like in Afghanistan or China, like very remote places with the exact same symptoms that I had. But guess what's scary is you think, oh my God, it's never coming back. And then you read things like it crosses the blood-brain barrier. And then you're like, oh man, this is like so awful. But guess what? It did come back. Stronger, better, faster.
That's good. Yeah, it makes you cherish your food so much more.
Thank you.
COVID's out there giving like superhuman taste buds and stuff now.
Let me tell you, and to anyone who's listening, don't take your taste buds for granted. They're precious, you know? So over the summer, I started another podcast for the LGBTQ community. I'm very involved in fundraising. I help run an LGBTQ in the tri-state area called Triversity. We started a show called Triversity Talk. And what was so cool about that was, as you know, bringing people in from all over the country. What video podcasting does is it lets you go anywhere without ever leaving your computer. And you read about somebody and you can reach out to them. So that was cool. I had people on in politics, doctors that are doing sexual reassignment surgeries, just really interesting stuff. I started that show in July with my co-host, Stephen Bloomer-Teague. And then in November, I was still feeling like there was a void I had to fill because, keep in mind, we're having to create a lot of our own stuff now.
Oh, yeah.
Right? You get it. So I started this show, If These Walls Could Talk. I was at a restaurant in New York that my friends Arnaldo and Steven run. It's called Pangea. And they've always been an incredible restaurant to showcase talent, cabaret talent, New York entertainers, musician, avant-garde things. But they've been supportive of the arts community for forever. And businesses in New York and in other places have been hurting because of this. And they had shut us down in New York. So they only had outdoor dining. And I don't have to tell you, outdoor dining in November and December and January was cold. So I thought, what can we do that would be cool, that would bring people to think about this wonderful restaurant, at least come by and get takeout from them. So I started a show called If These Walls Could Talk. And I've been very lucky in that World Star Media has provided me with so many of their amazing musical guests. Leland Sklar, Scott Page from Pink Floyd, Kenny Aronoff, the drummer, Andrew Cole, Ian Gurian. It's just been incredible. Last week we had on the very well-known writer Michael Musto. So I've had a blast with that show. Tomorrow we are going to be filming, and we film it on location at Pangea inside, which is great.
I heard of your guest tomorrow, and she would like me to tell you hi.
Oh, cool.
And also she's very nervous, so you have to take it easy on her.
I'm not like that. The one thing I can tell you in my real life, I am the person that if I have a gazillion friends, it's because I'm the real deal. And that's not always so cool to be, because people will often take advantage of your kindness. Yeah, Sherry is the same kind of person. Besides being beautiful on the outside, she's beautiful on the inside. And I love Sherry's story. And the reason I love her story so much is, she was living, well, now she's there, but she'll be back, in the States again. Yeah. But there she was in a very small town in Canada. Her family had a logging company. When would I ever get to meet anybody from such a different background?
Right?
Right? Don't we love this? Look what's happened to her from Maxim. I hang on to those stories. I love these incredible stories where people are plucked from nowhere. All right. Yeah. And then they rise and they shine. And I love inspirational stories. They're the best because people that are listening to these shows, they're like, oh God, there's somebody with a dream.
Yes.
And they've gone to follow their dream. And the reason I love it so much is I was a girl born in the Bronx with a dream. And I knew I had to follow that dream no matter what anyone said to me. I grew up in a, very great household, but very, very middle class. My mother had been a model and gave everything, and a known model, gave everything up to marry my father and just be a housewife. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's what she wanted. I remember as a kid, she would wear her mink stole when she would go to the supermarket. My friends would be like, "What's up with your mother?" Well, she had a whole closet full of beautiful clothes. And I grew up seeing that glamour, but I was also raised, oh, you don't want to do that. You want to have something really secure in your future. Maybe she used to tell me I should go work for the phone company. I don't know why, to me, can you imagine like working for AT&T? I would blow my brains out.
I don't know, but I can see why, because you're very personal. You're very open and super lively spirit to talk to. I mean,
thank you. But that, but I was always that way. And I was in this house where, people weren't really like that. I was always out of the box. From the time I was a little kid, I knew I would do two things. I would be a model and I would go to Africa. How Africa came into that, nobody knows to this day. But when I was 20 years old, my university offered me the opportunity to go to a remote village in Nigeria called Ife. They had a university. And I had to come up with a subject, which was going to be Shango, the god of thunder. I have always been interested in deities from other cultures and what I call traditional religions, why people believe in them and how they've existed for thousands of years. That is so, interesting to me. So there I found myself in a village called Ife at 20 years old. And there wasn't one thing there I could relate to even a little bit. The road was made of red dirt. The houses were cinder blocks with those tin roofs. And I was the only white person besides my college boyfriend who was there with me. He was a filmmaker. And we would walk through the town and they would yell out, "Odabo oibo." And I would think Odabo in Yoruba means hello or goodbye. So I thought they were saying hello, stranger. I found out Oibo. It was so funny. Someone finally told me Oibo is the skin on an orange when you peel it, the white skin. Awesome. So, when you peel an orange, kind of white coating on it. Yeah, so that's what Oibo meant. But it was all in very incredible good spirit. And I met so many amazing people. And the thing about Nigerians and the thing about people in Africa, there's a whole thing with hospitality that we have here more walls built up around us. There's a whole thing with cultures there that, you meet someone, then you have to meet their parents, then you have to meet their auntie, then you have to meet their friends. Someone invites you to dinner. You can't say, "Oh, I've got other plans." You have to go to that dinner. It's a very, very warm culture, even to this day. So wow. That was the very beginning of I call it my African dream. And then here we go, X amount of years later, I couldn't wait to get back to Africa. So that was when I was 20. You realize I spent decades trying to get back to Africa. And a few years ago, my husband and I made a film. We went to Cameroon and made a film about people doing gorilla and chimpanzee rescue. There were two women that ran these rescue centers, Ape Action Africa and Young Chimpanzee Rescue. And these rescue centers are 10 miles apart. They're both, Ape Action Africa was run by a British woman who gave up her whole life in the UK to do this. And then Sanagi Young Chimpanzee Rescue Center is run by a woman from Oregon, a vet, Sherry Speed. She's been doing it forever also. They take the babies whose parents are poached and they bring them to the rescue centers, and they're raised by human volunteers, either local people, or it could be American or European volunteers that do this. But the primate baby spends a year with a human being. Now you're probably thinking, well, why does that have to happen? Because their mother was killed and they have no idea. They have 98% of our DNA. People don't even realize that. And when we would go out to the forest with the person who was in charge of the chimp babies at Ape Action Africa, her name was Stephanie. She was a local girl with her blue fingernails and so beautiful. Those 4 baby chimps were climbing all over her. But while they were climbing all over her, Stephanie was taking them to the tree and showing them, what they needed to do to climb it. They have to be shown. And they will spend a year with that person. And then this is the most interesting part. There are families of primates in these places, and they are kept in 4-acre enclosures. That is a very large outdoor enclosure where they can have their families, make their nests, and live the kind of life that they would have if they were released. And what it's ensuring is that these primates will go on to live. Many people have asked me on these shows or just when they've seen our films, why can't these animals ever be released? You take them out to the forest again, they'll be shot and killed. And, my best example, you think of all the protected areas in South Africa, the tourists go on safari, but we're constantly reading about, massive elephant poachings. And these are, quote unquote, protected. You can't protect them enough, I guess, is it. And the only way that this is going to stop is when there's not high prices paid for the bounty of a gorilla hand for medicinal purposes or a rhino horn for a virility.
So wait, I gotta ask. Right. I've never heard of a gorilla's hand being used as medicinal purposes.
There are in certain cultures. And there's another, this is so ugly, but I talk a lot when I speak about this, bushmeat. Bushmeat is any animal that comes from the jungle that is sold for their meat in the marketplace. And case in point, we'll get to the pandemic on that because that's what this all started with. So yeah, they can sell pieces of a gorilla or chimpanzee in the marketplace. Most often it's shipped to Middle East or Asia and served as a delicacy. And while I was doing the research for this film, there were people, and I was never able to find out if this was true or not, but I believe it probably could be, in New York. I was heard that there is a small market for it as a delicacy, and it is very high priced and served. You have to take the price. I know. You have to take the price tag off of all of this stuff. And one of the ways you take the price tag off is you've got to be able to employ the local people. Have either of you ever been on safari?
Only at Disney's Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
There's a little safari ride.
I have been at that. That is my favorite park. Okay. I don't care if it's canned. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I love that park. But when you go on safari in Africa, in Kenya, the local people are called the Maasai. And what they've done there, they're extremely well organized. And the government has understood that the Maasai own this land. And they've developed these lodges, and the Maasai are running a lot of the lodges. And there's also been programs in microfinancing. So they would much rather take tourists to see these animals in the wild than shoot them for money. And that's what has to happen in more of these places. You've got to get rid of the dollar value for the head of the animal and have the dollar value for the experience of the animal. And you bring people in from all over the world, and it's a win-win for the local people and a win-win for the tourists. So yeah, we made that film, and it is so funny. I came full circle with that. And prior to that film, we were in Ethiopia. We did a film called Fragile Beauty about the disappearing tribal people there that are in the southern Omo Valley, the Hammer people, the Karo people, and the Mercy people, who, believe it or not, are dressing the same way they have for hundreds of years, which is incredible adornments, animal skins. I mean, when they kill an animal, it's to eat, and they have every right to do that. They're not, they don't go to the supermarket to buy food. They're hunters.
Yeah.
But
they're using all of it too.
Yeah. Right. They're using the whole. Thank you for understanding that, because people saw our pictures and they're like, Wendy, you're such an animal lover. How can you condone this? It's not condoning. This is their culture. All right. They're using every part of the animal. And I mean, their adornments are absolutely it is undescribable. And I went there to do a film about their dress and how they use even the dried flowers, everything. They paint themselves. Long before we ever had body inking here, tattooing, they had painting themselves by making their own paint from the clay and drawing the most intricate designs. And I had to explain to people here when they saw the film Fragile Beauty, they're like, oh, did they just do this for you? No, they go out to take care of their cattle looking like that. I mean, come on, I would be embarrassed for them to come to a Walmart and see how people dress. It would be embarrassing. They go like all out. But again, part of their culture. But part of the thing for me making these films, telling these stories, we'll go to tell one story and it turns out to be a totally different story, because I was going to make this wonderful film short about their gorgeous fashion. And we're in one of the villages and our guide comes over and he said to me, do you have malaria pills? Like, oh yeah, I have them. And I said, are you coming down with malaria? And he said, no. He said, but one of the men in the village, his daughter was very, very, very sick. And
oh, crap.
Right, because this is what I come to find out, that the kids in the village get malaria. And this is so bizarre for us to hear. A lot of them don't make it. Malaria in this day, right? So he said to us, listen, he said, we have to convince this man to go to the local clinic. So I had to invite him into our Jeep and tell him that it was a gift, that we were foreigners and we were so excited to be able to come to his village to make our film, that could he please come in our Jeep and bring his daughter? We want to help her. We had to phrase it like that. Now, it wasn't that he didn't want his daughter, but it's a cultural thing. It's almost like accepting something from us. So I got them in the Jeep and we get to the clinic and the man was very embarrassed. Why was he embarrassed? Because he doesn't have money, because they barter with cattle. Okay. Yeah. And you can't buy malaria medicine with a cow. So again, it's the culture. So I say to the nurse there through my translator, how much is a malaria medicine? $10. So we got the little girl the $10 medicine. One of my favorite parts in the film is the man grabs my hand and he's holding on to it for dear life for saving his child. But realize what a fine line it is between saving the child and that child and other children dying of malaria. And I was happy to be able to help that child. But I got to tell you, there's hundreds more kids out there in the world. And again, now with this pandemic, I mean, I don't know, I tell people when I speak all the time that each one of us can make a difference in the world. I'll do it through speaking. I do it through my films. And even with pandemic cooking, the amount of wonderful comments and emails I got from people that were sick and depressed. No one's dealing with the fact that, my God, we've been dealing with this for a year.
The mental health crisis in this country is scary. It's scary.
Yeah. I mean, to me, there should be clinics on every corner, or, everywhere I turn, there should be billboards with 800 numbers with, savvy people on the other end of that number when you call, because this is absolutely crazy. People's worlds have been blown up. And the other thing that no one is really talking about, over 500,000 in the United States have passed, but the elephant in the room that no one talks about, and I do talk about it, is the fact that these people died alone. All right. They died alone without, with their family on an iPad. How crazy is that? So all of us,
horrible.
It is, but going forward, and I am an optimistic person. All of us, like you guys have this great show. You can have wonderful people on that can share positive messages out there for, that's what it's all about. If we can do podcasts, we can take and spread our messages anywhere. And how cool is that?
It's amazing. And that's why we started. We started in 2020 because we were like, this year kind of sucks. And we were like wanting to do something to get people's mind off of it. And so we thought, like, we have really funny back and forths. We make a lot of dumb jokes. And we figured it'd be fun to try to throw it out and get like some sort of little following of people that are like, okay, I'm going to listen to them every week because for that hour and a half, I can listen and smile and laugh and not worry about rent, which is coming in a couple weeks. I'm just listening to this.
Right. That they can listen and just talk about stuff, all kinds of stuff, right? I didn't realize, so you started in 2020 also. Isn't it incredible what's like happened with all of us? I don't even know what you did before.
2020 has definitely spawned a lot of creativity in all forms of art and all the realms, which is amazing. Yeah. And I'm excited because once everything does open up and everything does go back to normal, if ever, there's going to be a lot to like the world's going to explode with media. There's going to be bands going everywhere. And I mean, I think it's going to be really, really awesome. But I definitely wanted to kind of backtrack. You mentioned you went to Nigeria, and I wanted to ask, because I read somewhere that you went and actually studied voodoo.
Yes.
I have to know about this. This is incredible.
Well, again, ever since I can remember, like I am the same person I was at 5 years old. It's just like a lot more magnified and a lot louder. But I was always fascinated by magic. It always interested, like as kids, right? The occult.
Yeah.
It always And from the time I was a little kid, scary movies, they didn't have to make sense. I was just intrigued by that. So when I was 15, my parents, we took a vacation and we went, we took a cruise to Haiti. And that was the first time I heard about, I had always known about voodoo, when you're right, because we hear about it on TV or, it's talked about jokingly in our culture or sometimes not so jokingly, but it interested me. People that believed in these higher deities that could change their life if they believed in a god, right? So my parents took me on this cruise to Haiti, and certainly that is one of the things Haiti is known for. And this is interesting. I'm glad you brought up the voodoo thing because I forget to tell people this. I come from a house and a family. My grandmother came to this country and she read tea leaves. All right. She came here from Britain and she read tea leaves and cards, tarot. And she was able to make money doing that. That was passed on to my mother. And I grew up in that kind of house. I remember as a small child, the phone would ring and my mother would pick it up. There would be nobody at the other end and she would say, so-and-so died. I'm like, well, how do you know that? And she said, well, the phone would ring. Or there would be 3 knocks at the door that she would hear. And she would say, somebody, right. So I grew up in this, and I'm sure a lot of this is in me, 3rd generation to have this. So I was fascinated by magic and how it could make things happen. It couldn't be explained by science. It just had to do with people's belief. And what I found myself in Nigeria, that really blew it wide open because as being an outsider, they did totally accept me. And I had an amazing friend at the university. His name was Jide Abegunde, and his grandfather was like the known traditional medicine man in Oyo State. And any festival where this kind of traditional medicine went on, anytime one was happening, he would bring myself and my boyfriend we could photograph, and we were treated as guests, and we were the only two outsiders there. But that's when I saw stuff that there was no way you could possibly explain it. Like someone would become possessed with the spirit of the god I was studying, which was Shango. And I remember this gentleman taking a hot coal from the fire and putting it on his tongue and sticking his tongue out with the hot coal on. Oh my God, look at your face. I'm looking at your face.
I'm really blown away right now.
This girl's gone bats on me. But he put the hot coal on his tongue and then put it in his mouth and then just completely overcome with the spirit. Not all that different than people here in churches they become filled with the spirit. He became filled with the spirit of Shango, the god of thunder. And then he would open his mouth up and take the hot coal out and throw it down. And there wouldn't be a blister on his tongue. And as many times as I saw this, and there are people that said to me, my brother-in-law is so pragmatic. He said, that was a trick. They were fooling you. No, it wasn't a trick.
You saw it from start to finish and all of the coals, and he just probably picked up one at random.
Right, exactly. And not a blister on his tongue. Okay, and I will give you this one most recently. And the film Fragile Beauty, which was made a couple of years ago, the Hammer people invited us to a coming of age ceremony. And this is in the film. And it's called the Jumping of the Bulls. They line up 8 bulls. And the boy who's coming of age, who's 13, is naked. And he has to jump across the back of 8 bulls. Okay. That's not where the traditional beliefs come in. It starts in the very beginning because before they line the bulls up, part of the ceremony is the men in the village, the younger men, get pieces of branches, and the women are bare-chested, and the men beat the women across their back. I know if people are listening, they're like, oh, come on. They beat the women across their back with the branches to the point where they're bleeding. And the women are jumping up and down, laughing and having a grand old time and doing a dance.
Holy shit.
Right, exactly. And we were standing there watching this, and we actually cut out the bleeding parts out of the film because I want people to understand.
Yeah.
Okay, it may not be what they believe, but I want them to understand. I don't want to turn them off. And we left all of that on the cutting room floor, but it's very obvious in what we left in that, the women are being hit with the branches and they're laughing and singing and jumping up and down, and it's all good. Now, I've had this discussion. I know a lot of scientists because I'm a member of the Explorers Club in New York. And it's a world-renowned group of scientists, filmmakers, and people that do expeditions and exploration. And we have a lot of what I call hardcore scientists that are members. And I've brought this up to them because this is something I've seen with my own eyes. And I ask for an explanation, and it's kind of like the same thing. I can't get a straight answer out of anybody. What I have come to believe, and this is what I think is true, and I'm sure there is somebody that will say, yes, it's probably what it is. If you believe in something so heavily in your mind, if being hit with a branch and your skin bleeding from it, you don't identify with it as pain because you're not thinking of it that way.
Great point.
Right. It's like a kind of conditioning.
I actually have I don't mean to interrupt, but I have like a
mind over matter.
Okay. So there's a trick that you can do, and you may have heard about this, but this is what you do. It's like a trick with your senses. So you get a match and you put a blindfold on somebody, okay? And you say, okay, I'm going to light this match and I'm going to put it out, and then I'm going to touch it to your shoulder, and it's going to burn a little bit, okay? And they have to be like, okay, sure, okay. So you light the match, blow it out, wave it, let them smell it. Then you get a little piece of ice and you tap them with the ice, and they're going to go, ah,
Right.
Did you do it? Yeah, you did it. It was a piece of ice. But in their mind, they thought it was a burnt match. So they felt this is like in reverse, though, where they're.
Oh my God, you are the first person. I'm not kidding you. I've told this to so many people. That is exactly right. Now, how did you know about that? How did
TikTok.
So no,
That's
TikTok,
mind
Josh.
It's purely mind over matter.
Oh my God.
It is. I saw it years ago and I was like, that's cool. And it makes sense. It made sense to me. So yeah, like I get it. I definitely get it.
So we're all conditioned, right? In our culture, we're conditioned one way. In other cultures, they're conditioned.
It's a festival.
It's a festival.
They know what it's going to be. They know what it entails. And it's yeah.
And maybe if it happens over and over again, then it's not processed as pain. Okay, so let's take it a little bit further. Oh my God, you guys, I love this train of thought that we're on right now.
This is what we do.
Yeah, this is like where we go and where we live. So let's go back to the person that was possessed by Shango and the hot coal. Could the mind be so powerful? Yes, his mind could tell him that it's not burning him, but physically, okay, it's a hot coal. It's got an ember in it. Could the mind be so powerful that it could create a situation where you wouldn't get a blister on your tongue?
So thinking about it scientifically, which this is the Mindless Morning Show. I'm not a damn scientist by any stretch.
Well, none of us are, but this is great.
But
I would say, yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking doing something over and over and over again has scientifically made it to where things do not hurt as bad. Think of it as like this: somebody that's like a karate. Okay, they kick, and when they kick outward, they hit their target with their shin bone,
right?
Which is extremely painful if I do it.
Right.
But these people do it over and over and over, and that's actually part of their training.
Those
to do like taekwondo and karate
with their shins.
Yes, with their shins, exactly, with their shins, and they do not get a bruise. And whenever you start training like that, they tell you to repeatedly hit your shins in training. It strengthens that. It strengthens it. So
I think overall, it's not that it strengthens the area of your shin. It's not. That's not what it's doing. What it's doing is
what is it doing?
It's making it repetitive. It's that pain that you start feeling. It starts becoming dull more and more and more, and eventually you're not going to process that pain in that area.
Yeah, but you're not even getting the bruise anymore.
You don't need to. It's mind over matter. So you're saying just like with the hot coal, his mind over matter, there's no way he'd have a blister in his mouth. Right.
There have been stories of like Shaolin monks that would literally walk into a blizzard with no shirt on.
Right.
And be like totally fine.
It's a matter of controlling yourself, your mind, your psyche, and your breathing. Breathing's pretty important. I'd imagine.
Breathing, right.
Because I mean, it's similar. You've had Howard Bloom on your show. These walls could talk.
Howard's in that, that parallel universe. Stephen Hawking talked about it. Howard lives there. Howard's amazing. I was so nervous about having Howard on my show. I spent like a week and a half listening to every interview that Howard did. No, because I'm into parallel universes also, but
he's super
really
smart.
There. He
Super
knows
smart.
so much. So, I had to really orient myself.
With him and his ideas of like us just being all the little microbes and the organisms, we're all of these that all the cells essentially that identify as us. We identify as ourselves. Like at my hand, everything it's just protons, cells, and all that. It's being able to have that consciousness and being able to, I'm pretty sure you could correlate the two I could be wrong. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just like,
Oh my God, I wish we had Howard Bloom here right now, right this second.
He would blow our fucking minds if we had him.
He totally would, because I know he would be able to address this. But yes, to your point, I I'm buying that, because those are the only explanations. But it's interesting to me that there's not a gazillion people looking into these ways of thinking. You know what I'm saying? I wonder why that is.
Everyone is so distracted with their jobs, with their finances, with their love life, with everything. And I'm not saying we don't have those distractions. I'm just saying that we're all creatives. We think a lot about all of this stuff and
we think too much. We don't sit back and take a chance.
Mindless Morning Show,
everything in
too much.
I love the idea, mindless, but it's really mindful, because once you can be mindless, once you can open up, that's clear paths for things to enter.
Yes.
I think you just made it to where we're going to switch up our entire fucking podcast now. You just hit the nail on the head. All right, that's it.
So much trouble. You have no idea, because I don't have a filter and I speak from instinct, and sometimes I just channel freaking thoughts and say, but think about it, right? It's like, if you have the clear path, if you are mindless, it allows you then to receive and become mindful.
Well, our logo is a brain.
Brilliant.
That kind of looks like an eyeball. So it's like, once you're mindless, you're able, there you go. Yeah, you're able to
God. How do I get a t-shirt?
Our website.
We will email it.
Yeah.
You just got to email. No, we'll email you a shirt. No, if you if you email us, we'll definitely send you one for sure. But
that would be like so cool. What do they have? Like a tank top, and then what are the styles?
Oh, we
got everything.
We have a ton.
Skirts.
Okay, so we've got a.
I'm on a tangent. Okay, we need to come back to Earth. Okay.
Yeah. We'll get you whatever you want. That's
we're totally changing our podcast now. We're gonna be like mindfully mindless.
We're so mindless. We're mindful. Oh gosh.
I love that. That's great.
No, it's awesome though, because I like that about you, that you do take the time to kind of see things how they are, and it's not just so much as to what we would always is always on our mind, what we're always manifesting or what we're always festering on in our minds. And so I like that
it's so important, because it's like existence and its meaning, and it's around us constantly.
Right.
And yet we're like, no, I got to go to work tomorrow, and I got to do this, and I got to pay this bill and talk to this person.
Yeah,
but really everything is, well, yeah, Josh, you don't get that as much, but
I hate that. No, I hated that about life.
Paying any more of your bills, John? Is that what we've come to?
No,
here?
I don't pay nothing now. Nothing.
Pile it up in there in your room,
Yeah.
I'll get to them another time.
Outside that door is just like the other half of my cardboard box. I made this side of the cardboard box look really fucking nice.
Really totally awesome.
No, I even when working, I hated it. It wasn't. It's not what. That's not what we're born to do. That's not our purpose in life.
I work almost 60 hours a week. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, we hear it every week.
That's great. That's a lot. What do you do? I don't know what you do.
I'm a new construction and remodel plumber.
Oh my God, I have so many broken things.
I'm on my way.
I have stepped in pay dirt tonight, plumbing and t-shirts. It doesn't get any better than this for me on Mindless Mornings.
There you go.
Pinnacle of life right here.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
But to your point, right, 60 hours, but at least you're not, for people like us to be stuck behind a desk doing the same thing hour to hour is completely deadly.
At least I don't do that.
Right. Yeah. At least with plumbing, you have to have critical thinking, right? No matter how you look, you have to be a critical thinker. You have to be a problem solver.
Oh, God,
you are blowing his head up. Calm down, Wendy.
Right.
He's just plugging pipes in today.
Right? And it's psychiatrist, really, because you're dealing with like different personalities. And let me tell you, a lot of people you deal with, if their plumbing's not working, they are not going to be happy campers.
Yeah, but then they see me and they're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're here. Because Texas froze over a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God, I have friends there. Okay, I know the whole story with Texas. Yeah, so let's talk about plumbing and what happened with.
right. Hey, we'll just block Josh out of this.
Yeah, I'll leave now.
Josh will come along for the ride.
Yeah, well, Josh actually does plumbing too. He does HVAC and plumbing and stuff like that as well. That's what his job was before. Yeah. He's doing what he's doing.
That's
now.
why I laugh at him being a plumber. He's me with a lobotomy.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I guess he told you. So what was it like for you in Texas? I mean, the state went into deep freeze.
So so here's the thing about the company that I work with. We don't do service calls. So like we do new construction and remodel. However, we do service calls on houses that we did the original plumbing for.
Got it.
And we got like 48 of those calls in a couple days.
They weren't happy. Their pipes were bursting 6 ways to Sunday. My girlfriend in Dallas sent me pictures of her neighbor's attic. Okay, and it was the whole house was destroyed.
Yeah.
So new construction. You guys weren't ready for this in Texas.
Well, Texas, we have not had an ice storm like this in 120 years.
But here's my argument with that, and I totally understand it hasn't been for 100 years, but it's a possibility. Why are we not building everything for like hot and cold in all states?
So there's a couple of reasons for that. For one, we don't have actually, I was going to say we don't have basements here because we don't have basements here. Right. However, technically we could still plumb things in a mechanical room. But see, that's the thing about Texas is we don't have basements, so we don't have designated mechanical rooms. Your water heater and your equipment goes in like the garage or in the attic. Your furnaces go in the attic.
Nothing is underground.
So you'd have to designate.
No, I knew that. I knew that nothing was underground.
Way too much rock. Much rock. You can't. You literally have to dynamite basements in Texas.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
And
I thought it was straight up.
It costs way too much. Oh no.
No, but you know what?
Almost every.
To Josh,
I was just going to say almost. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, because this goes back, and then I want to jump back into what you're saying. You are 100% right. Okay, global warming, 100% is a real thing. Okay, what is happening right now is actually happening. The wildfires out in California that we've had, the severe weather. You're in Florida, you've gotten hit by major hurricanes, okay? This is really happening, folks. We have to wake up and smell the coffee. I have a few friends that are doing eco-architecture. What is that? It's your point, Josh. Why aren't we building for it? That's exactly what we have to do. But like in the house, like you just said, new construction, they've been doing things the same way in Texas for forever because there was not a reason not to. I am curious in the company you're working for now, if they're going to sit down and have a powwow and acknowledge that this can very well happen again.
Yeah, Nick, is your dad going to have that powwow?
So what we've already discussed is, this is going to sound kind of like we're the best, but we already go over the top with our insulation process. We already use the thickest insulation in attics that you can, and we keep our lines low whenever we're running lines in an attic, because up in northern states, and I did plumbing in Iowa for 3 years, and you are straight up not allowed to put a single water line in an exterior wall or an attic. Cannot happen.
Hold on. Denial. I have a weekend place in Pennsylvania. Our first year there, I go to put my key in the lock. We had that house. That was our first winter. I go to put the key in the lock and I hear like raining. It was my birthday and I heard raining inside my house. And I walked in the dining room, the living room, pouring. We run upstairs. That jacuzzi that they had put in upstairs, Pennsylvania, come on, folks, wake up and smell the coffee. They had put, and you would understand this, they not only put the pipes in the exterior of the house. My house is down the bottom of a hill. It was the perfect storm. A good cold wind freezes the pipe. It's on the exterior. It wasn't wrapped in any way, shape, or form. And guess what? It burst. All right. We had like over $150,000 worth of damage.
Oh my God.
Right. But I know I love having, now we have a new show. It's called Plumbing Talk. I'm loving this. I love talking about plumbing. This is so cool. So yeah, for the most part, for the work you did in Iowa, maybe they were being mindful. But see, in Texas, it's a whole different style of building, as in Florida. It's just different.
There's a lot of differences.
So what do you think they're going to do now? I mean,
so what we are going to do is pitch an idea to our builders that are doing these new custom homes to possibly make a separate room in the floor plan to where we will keep the water heater and the furnaces and all that. But I can tell you right now, they're not going to do it, because the people here, they want every square foot of their house, because there's no basement. So there's no like catch-all for all of the mechanical shit. It's like, they're not going to want to give up closet space, which they could use for storage or for whatever the closet might be. They're not going to want to use that for a mechanical room.
Their houses are 5,000 square feet in Texas. I'm living in a New York apartment. Come on, folks. Does this make any sense at all?
America, we need everything. In Texas, they need everything big.
It makes much more sense to build like a little, like what would be equivalent to like a large bathroom. Okay. And then you have all your equipment in there. You have your generator, your hot water. That's what makes sense to me. So I
agree.
I hope they go for it, because otherwise it's penny wise and pound foolish.
I'd much rather have everything in one centralized location, because one, it's easier for anybody to make repairs. It's so much just nicer. Like, I don't have to walk out and because I have my water heater is in the garage. We don't get
that to the garage.
Yeah, we don't really have anything too crazy though. And even if we were to get freezing weathers, a lot of our pipes run underground. So, and they're sheathed because they have coverings on the pipes even underground, because Florida's soil's acidic, so it'll eat through the copper. Otherwise, they have to.
It'll go right through. Right.
Yeah. So
same here. Underground, everything has to be sleeved or insulated.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, it really should just be a rule. Anywhere. Under anything, it should be a rule.
so get this. Y'all are gonna like this. Josh, you know this because you've seen pictures I've posted of my plumbing and stuff, of plumbing I've done in houses.
Wait, you have plumbing porn?
I post it.
It's on his OnlyFans account.
Plumbing porn. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
I think that's the title of the episode now. Plumbing porn with Wendy Stuart.
Oh my God. I feel a new show. I feel it coming on. We can have people on with testimonials of because of all of this climate change, horrible things that are happening in their homes. And
that would be a really fun show, talking about people's mishaps with plumbing, either fails.
And the fix. And then of course you have the fix, right? And see, I can tell you something. You're very cute for a plumber. Most of the time, the people they send you, when I was having plumbing fixed in our New York apartment, they sent me this guy. I'm not kidding you. He's like 300 pounds.
Mario.
The plumber face, right? And he had plumbers, and he was expensive. I called them up and I said, you know what? You're charging me modeling rates. They're like, excuse me. I said, you're charging hourly rates that I could
send me a model.
A very good looking guy, right, for a shoot for. And I said, you must have somebody better looking if I'm going to have to pay this. So they did. They sent somebody that was better looking, thank God. But anyway, let's get back to what you were talking about.
Your poor husband.
Just one quick little thing about that too, about 300-pound plumbers. I don't know how they exist, because there's so many tight spaces that I have to get into every other day.
I know
that if I was overweight, I couldn't do it.
Apprentices
couldn't do it.
They make the apprentices do it all.
Yeah, but apprentices can't do everything.
No, but they can get in that small space and be guided for a while.
Yeah, I'm not going to guide an apprentice how to install certain things under a house, soldering and whatnot.
Well, can't they just watch a YouTube video? That's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
You can learn anything off YouTube.
Yeah, really.
YouTube University right there. Yeah. YouTube University.
Right.
So yeah, like and the one thing that's gonna, I know Josh knows already because he's seen the pictures that I post and stuff, but though a lot of water heaters down here, the tankless water heaters are getting really, really big down here. And
you have a tankless water heater. Like, what is it? Describe it, please.
So
on-demand water heating.
It's so by on demand, it's like a there's no tank. It's a lot smaller, it's like the size of your torso. And you can you can mount it on a wall in an attic, in a garage, just mount it on like a bracket. So it doesn't take up much space. And then the water comes in and it passes through what's called a heat exchanger, where it gets hot. It gets hot to 120 degrees instantly as it passes through this little appliance inside of the water heater. And then from there it goes to wherever you want. The reason why those are so popular is because they're so small and they're pretty efficient as far as gas burning and electricity.
Right, and we do instant hot water too.
Well, it does instant hot water going through the appliance. You have to actually have a recirculation line installed in your home to get instant water at your faucet.
Aha! My point exactly. There's always a catch. You see why
There's always a catch.
Plumber? There's always a catch. Yeah. You made it sound so simple. There's always a catch.
but I would tell the client that before we do the work. Tell them, basically the recirculation line is you go to your furthest fixture, like your sink or whatever that's furthest away from the water heater, you cut into it, and then you run a hot line all the way back to the water heater, and then it creates a loop in your house. And then you set the water heater, you set the water heater on an external loop, and it'll heat that whole loop, which basically brings the water heater all around your house. So that's kind of what that does.
That totally makes sense. You see, this is why I come on these shows. Look what I learned today.
Yeah, I'm glad to have helped.
Thank you so much.
But the thing with these, I'll send you one. Don't worry about that.
You can charge her modeling race. She admitted it.
Charge the modeling race.
There you go. Yeah, give us the blue steel. Come on.
That's so funny.
That was epic.
A lot of these tankless water heaters we actually install outside of the house on the wall of the exterior. Like we straight up bolt them right to the wall.
But if you do it on the exterior of the house, what happens if you get a tornado? See, I know about those things.
It's gonna fly right off.
We
fly right up. Do we think this is a good idea? This is not making sense.
Well,
it can go indoors.
If a tornado, it can go indoors or in an attic or wherever. It can go anywhere. But a lot of people, especially right now, Texas, I want a big house, but I don't want to have mechanical shit in my house. They want them on the outside of the house, so they don't have to deal with them inside.
I'm sure they'll be changing their minds now.
Space.
Yeah, I mean, do you think there's going to be a change in people after having this deep freeze that y'all have been through?
Yes, we are moving a couple of them into garages. That's right now our list. We've got 33. We've got about 33 houses with no hot water still that we're waiting on parts to come in from the brands, the manufacturers. Yes.
How are they dealing with that?
Well, a lot of them are well connected with their friends and other family members that have hot water. Some are having to take cold showers, but so what we did was we did all of the houses with kids first. So if your house has if you've got a kid in your house like under the age of like 15, we knocked your house out like day 1, day 2, day 3. And then everybody else is like, there's a couple of like bachelor types that are just single, that are just living in a house. A couple of couples that are cool with it. They got a
elderly couple day after day is waiting for that hot water. Have you no heart?
elderly people would have been up on the top list too.
Okay.
Are you sure? So, yeah. No, I'm just playing. so that's kind of how we did it. And now everybody that like we did as much as we possibly could. Texas ran out of water heaters and all water heater parts in a week.
I'm sure. I mean, I totally followed what was going on down there because I know a lot of people there, and it was truly tragic. And again, you can go back to the pandemic in New York. We had no plan B here in New York. It was just kind of like we had a couple of days to get ready. Texas had no plan B for this. I mean, there were people that really suffered, that got very sick. So on top of the deep freeze, then you've got the pandemic on top of it. And we're talking about, it affecting people emotionally. I can't even imagine, I can't even imagine. So how is everybody doing now in Texas?
So I can only speak for our current clients, and they are all happy and they feel lucky that they have water, right? That they have water and they have power, because that was the big thing. So what happened that was the really bad thing with all of these water heaters was these water heaters being installed on the exterior of a house sounds like an absolutely insane, asinine idea. But when they have power, they have features that continuously keep them warm. But we lost power for days. And then the homeowners didn't know what to do. So what you're supposed to do is run your faucets. Don't drip them. Run them like the thickness of a pencil. Run your faucets hot and cold, thickness of a pencil, and your pipes aren't going to freeze because the water is moving through the system, and it's really hard to freeze.
I totally know about this from Pennsylvania, because when we get like down into minus single digits there, and if I'm not in the house, I'll always tell someone, could you go in the house? Could you run the faucets? Make sure it's got that long, good sized trickle coming out of it so that the pipes don't freeze. And you also have to open up your cabinets too, like all your below cabinets. That's another thing they tell you to do. Oh, look,
I didn't know that one.
There you go. You open up oh my God, I could be a plumber. You open up your
you could.
There you go. A new vocation. You open up those cabinets, and it lets the warm air from the house into there so your pipes won't freeze. So that's another cool thing.
That's a good idea. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that here. And we were telling people what to do, but we also lost our power for like 2 days, and we lost our internet. Our power, and my phone service was out. So we couldn't even call people to tell them what was going on. Like, I missed 2 episodes of the Mindless Morning Show that week.
Of course.
Because I couldn't get on. I couldn't. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but you right, Josh, you don't worry your pretty little head, because everybody knew what was going on in Texas. I mean, it was and not even through the news. Up here, it was a huge topic of conversation, because we were all sitting outside eating when we went out, because you weren't allowed in a restaurant, and we were complaining about the cold, but it's far worse to be in a place like Texas with no hot water, no heat in the house, your house flooding or your house free. You really learn there before the grace of God go I. But I heard some incredible stories that came out of Texas. There was a guy with a furniture store that invited everybody in that needed a place to go. And
I heard about that.
Yeah, and he got food delivered. And I mean, those are the kinds of stories, right, that come out of these tragedies that are they're reaffirming about human beings. Yes. I mean, that was so great. And he had all these couches and chairs, and he invited families in there. I mean, really incredible stuff. What we learn as human beings when, what do they say? We're all in this together. Yeah, we are.
Yep.
We totally are.
Yeah, it was
what's crazy. The deal now? I have to ask you guys, because we're still, a lot of people are vaccinated up in New York, but not so much in places like Pennsylvania. New Jersey is still having a hard time. And people are in masks here all the time, even outside in the street. What's it? What's it like by you in Texas? What's it like by you in Florida?
Texas opened up, didn't it? Like done.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, Wednesday, Texas, and okay. Here's the thing. So I don't really agree with that because there's still science and numbers saying that maybe you should not.
It was premature.
Like
it was
right. So right. I see it as that, and then I also see the other side saying, well, it's your decision, but it's a public health thing, so
right.
I mean, I get it.
Adults.
Like,
do we really need to be governed to be told how to survive?
Well, see, I get that, yes, but at the same time, you've got the majority of people here. I mean, not the majority, but there's a large. I don't know how many people in Texas that are like, well, by Wednesday, I ain't wearing it anymore. You get enough people doing that.
Well, but the rationale behind that is you get enough people vaccinated. So I'm curious if what your numbers are there in terms of vaccinations.
So in terms of vaccinations, I have no idea. And that's mainly like, I know that I am not top of the list by any means because
but you're a prime target for this virus either.
Well, yeah, I'm new construction and remodel. It's very rare I'm around anyone at work.
Right.
Hardly ever. Like maybe there's a landscaper in the backyard. Maybe there's a roofer. Maybe there's a guy working on a cabinet in a kitchen and I'm upstairs in a different bathroom. Like I'm rarely around other people.
Yeah.
So I know as far as like availability goes, from what I've heard, people that have weak immune systems have been vaccinated, and I could be wrong, but I've done some work for some houses, and some of the people have been like, yeah, we were vaccinated because I'm a cancer survivor, so I got vaccinated. So-and-so that lives down the street.
They're doing what they need to do then. And I hope so in Florida too. And they just came out, and this is something we all knew. People that are obese are being taken out like crazy by this virus. That's
the number one factor.
It's a weird thing, but yeah. So Florida is pretty cool too now.
I'll be honest, I have no idea. I haven't stepped out of my house since like last year. Because my daughter, she has cystic fibrosis, so we don't risk anything with
You can't risk a thing, right?
Yeah. But I'm very hesitant. Like I'm not too sure about the vaccine. I don't trust the vaccine. I don't trust the.
Good.
Because I mean, how long have we been studying cancer and we can't figure anything out about that? But all of a sudden, we got this miraculous drug for this like world-ending fucking disease. I'm not buying it. So. Well,
and also it's got lifestyle. If you can stay, you're relatively sheltered. For me, I started working outside with clients again, believe it or not, April of last year. So I had antibodies, I had a mask, but I was back on the subway again. And for my lifestyle, even when it ticked up here in the fall, I was on the subway. I got people breathing in my face, even with 2 masks on. So I got both vaccines. And for the way I'm living my life, I have to.
Yeah,
I totally understand and respect it.
I totally get what you're saying too, because a number of my friends, who don't fit the demographic, they're not obese, they have no underlying health conditions, they're in their 30s or 40s.
I'd be in Texas partying if I didn't have so
what was that?
I'd be in Texas. Here. Yeah, I'd be in Texas right next to Nick partying, hanging out if I didn't have my daughter to worry about. But I mean, because I do, it's not worth the risk to me. Like,
and that's the thing. Like, Josh, we've got the internet, so he's staying mentally sane because he's got me.
I don't know if we can look at you and think you can keep someone mentally sane.
I don't even know
you, and I don't know. Oh yeah, that's scary.
super not. Yeah. I mean,
that's like, wow, like those Chucky horror films. That was a super Chucky look.
But I mean, those beautiful eyes. You can't be scared of those eyes. Look at those blue eyes. Look at that.
Super Chucky. So the two of you used to like work together before. What's the deal here?
Maybe in another life.
I've never met this guy.
Get out. Stop.
We just love each other so much.
No, you must have known each other though from like where? Another universe?
Some life. Some other life.
So like long story short, Josh and I, we both work on video games also, developing games.
Oh, how cool.
And I'm working on a project and he's working on a project. And we found each other in like a community of game developers that all just kind of talk and hang out. And me and Josh clicked. And then we started talking like on the phone and stuff. And then and now he's helping me with my game. And so we're both working on the same game now and developing it. And yeah.
And that happened in 2020. Your paths crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Early 2020. And then, yeah.
You realize that is like the coolest story in the world.
We were thinking about making it a really nice romance movie out of it. So kind of, like something like Brokeback Mountain, but like,
but a little different. Yeah. But it's a very, very cool story of, how really technology, it was pivotal that the two of you are here, really. It's a great story.
And I just want to point out, because I just realized that is not a real gorilla. I promise. It's fake.
Wait, where is it? The one on the wall? No, I knew it wasn't real when the head is too flat. I'm like, what the heck is that thing? I thought it was like a slipper.
I just seen it for a second. I was like, oh, wait a minute. We were talking about these animals. Hold on. That's not real.
I knew it wasn't. Hold on. I have to get it close up.
I mean, I could try to get it.
Yeah, you can hold it up to the camera. Synthetic gorilla. You can put it on.
It actually, when I have, like, when you move it, it's like muscle. It's like kind of moves. Its lips.
But that is like so very Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. And this is another testament as to why you guys, if you have not
watching on YouTube,
if you have not switched over to YouTube yet, you should. We still have a lot of like listeners on Spotify, Pandora, Google, Apple, all that, but y'all come to YouTube, man.
And you could be watching Wendy's cooking show.
All of my shows. So Pandemic Cooking with Wendy, of course, is on YouTube, on Wendy's YouTube channel, which is Wendy Stuart TV. That's right. I have my own TV channel.
That's awesome.
It is. It's totally cool. And on Wendy Stuart TV, you can also watch If These Walls Could Talk, because when we shoot it, we do it on StreamYard, so we live stream it. But StreamYard, the way it works, you can have other platforms. So while it's being done on Facebook Live, it's also going on YouTube at the same time, where it can live its life forevermore when the episode is done. And the same thing with Triversity Talk. So yeah, I'm a big YouTube fan, and everybody should listen in. Everybody should subscribe. Oh, please subscribe to my channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Subscribe to Wendy Stuart TV when we get off of here. I'm going to be looking and watching, making sure.
Oh, too late. We're already subscribed. I promise you.
Yeah, we are.
But we're going to have all your links in the description. So for all of our listeners, watchers, I mean, most of them already know the drill, but all links for our guests will be inside the description, where you can find them, all their everything.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Did either of you get to see my book, or about my book?
We know about it. Yes.
We did not.
I know about it, but I didn't get to see the cover.
So, it's called She's the Last Model Standing.
Don't tell Sherry.
It's so cool because it takes you from all the things we talked about here today, from when I was very young to everything that's happening now and everything that happened in between. And I call it an inspirational book because no matter what happened, I would just always rise up. Though I could be in the worst situation. I had probably every horrible modeling job that you could ever think of when I first started. And I was turned down by every modeling agency. And it was my tenacity and determination that just kept me going. And those are words of wisdom for people out there that are listening. If you have a dream, if you have a desire, if you have something that you absolutely want to do, don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Absolutely. Nobody can stop you except you. And I have lived by that my whole life. And my book is called She's the Last Model Standing, and it is available on Amazon. And it's, of course, a funny book.
Well,
funny girl.
I certainly look forward to it. And I would hate to give you another crappy modeling job, but man, we got to get you in some Mindless Morning Show threads here. So like we can get.
why don't we totally do that? And then we'll put them up on Instagram and we can put it up on Facebook and tag it. So when we're done, I'm going to give you my address to ship everything to.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
It's perfect.
That would be
so
cool.
I'm excited.
We'll wrap up here. And is there, I know you just had a wonderful message there, but is there anything else you would love to say to the listener?
I could go on and on, so you're going to have to. Oh, is our time up? My gosh.
I will say right now, though, Wendy is going to be back here. I didn't give her a choice. Totally love to be back. And as a matter of fact, in preparation for that, I'm going to read up about plumbing so that when I come back, I'm more knowledgeable. I wasn't ready for the plumbing test this time, but you just wait. I'm going to be so amazing on the next show. And I want to tell people they can find me on Facebook under Wendy Stuart. And my page is really not about personal beliefs or political beliefs. It's all Wendy stuff. It's my shows. It's the people that tune in. Lots of funny jokes, animal things. I love animals, right? You know that. So Wendy Stuart on Facebook. Our films are on Facebook under Visual Journeys, Our Stories. And you can read about our films and see pictures of our films. And then you can go to Instagram. She's the last model standing. I love my Instagram just because it's like, it's not serious. It's delirious. And I have just funny stuff of me up there. And it's funny though, you know, my modelly stuff will get a gazillion likes. You put yourself up there like just being a goofball and it won't get as many likes. I don't understand. I don't either, because that's all we do. We need to start doing modeling.
Or
that's what it is.
If we paint our logo on a cat, done.
Oh,
viral. Everyone loves a good cat video.
No, they do. Oh, okay. And right. No, you're totally right. And I have a long-haired Chihuahua. When you send those clothes, I'm going to put a T-shirt on him because that will also. No, these are the things that get a lot of likes. You know, some days I say, why do I even bother getting out of bed? You know, I've got great stuff up on Instagram, but we will continue. And then on what is that? Twitter. I don't 100% get Twitter still, and I haven't taken.
Me too.
Really figure it out. And it may not be my venue, these tweets, you know, and this little foreign language.
It's hard to stay in that little tiny character limit when I have some things to put.
Right. I hate that.
How do you get your personality in that tweet?
And it makes me feel weird having to put like 4 different pages of tweets just to get one message across. I'm like, am I saying too much? Like, all right, never mind.
Oh, you've done that? I've seen other people do that. Yeah, when I see that, I'm like, oh, please get another venue.
Exactly.
This was not meant for that. But I'm not. I retweet. I like, and every now and then I'll come up with a sentence that maybe is a little profound, but it's just kind of stupid. So I'm not big on Twitter, but I have a Twitter handle, and then I have a website. www.wendystuarttv that's got just about everything I'm about. I got a lot of stuff, you know. It's
that's good. Well, we're gonna put all of it in the description too.
Yeah, when
it's a lot of typing.
We'll have the email, and you could just send us all the links. We'll put them all in there. But it was awesome having you. You're an amazingly openly free spirit. That's just
my gosh, thank you.
Such a light to talk to.
I am. Well, thank you. The two of you are so easy to talk to. And I'm telling you, you could turn this into a therapy show. You could. We'll talk about how you can do that too, because you have you got the right stuff going on. You bring out the best in people, or it could be the worst, but it's entertainment, right?
I like it.
I like that.
There you go. We came up with a million ideas.
Yeah.
She's making us
that sounds
take
good.
our podcast in like 20 different directions.
I know.
There you go. Don't listen to me.
Okay.
I live my life in tangents, but Howard Bloom is worse. So I am going to tell Sherry tomorrow, beautiful Sherry Nelson, that you all said hi. And I'm so excited to have her on. We'll have fun. All right.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, Sherry, and everyone. Stay mindless.
Stay mindless. Stay free.
Thank you guys for tuning in to the Mindless Morning Show. We hope you enjoyed it, and we greatly appreciate you guys picking us out of the many great podcasts out there. Now go enjoy your mindless day.